Good morning, everyone. We're here for the Sunday Mindset Session. I'm Luke Moroney, Tony Meredith, that way. I'm not sure which way he is. He's all jumping around on this cool morning. It's very cool in Sydney here, and I think it's very cool up there in Brisbane. Alas, about 4 or 5 degrees warmer. Mum has come on already and a few others that have joined us. Happy Sunday, happy Mindset Sunday. Hopefully having a great day wherever you are. Tony, we're talking about flexibility today, or being flexible. So,
well, I need to be more flexible. I went to my chiro on Friday, and his advice to me was I need to be more flexible. So how timely is this? But no, good morning, mate. Good morning, everybody. It's cool. It's cool here where I am. So even though the sun's out, for me anyway, it's cool. Luke just told me it's about 11 degrees. So that's why I was doing a little bit of jumping around and also trying to help with my flexibility.
That's great, Tony. So when it comes to flexibility, I know with your coaching clients, it probably will be one that does come up from time to time because things do change. We do have this roller coaster in our life. So it is a big one for us to be a little bit flexible, bit adaptable, be willing to change, Tony.
Yeah, so what doesn't tend to change for me is the end goal. So I want to make sure that the end goal, we've got something that we're chasing, that we're working our way towards. But along that journey, we might go down a particular pathway and that might work. We've got to come back and go down a different pathway and that might work. And so the key here is the overall resourcefulness to get to the end goal, right? But recognising that how we get there is going to vary and could be in 101, 1,001 different ways. And in fact, a lot of people don't succeed at their goals because they struggle with the how. It's like, okay, I got the goal, but how do I actually do that? And quite often we don't know. Quite often we think we've got a bit of a plan in place, but we don't know. But you need to be open, you need to be agile, you need to be a bit like Bruce Lee, be like water, and just be able to sort of go with what's happening, providing you've still got your eye on the prize, which is your end goal.
You show us some of those Bruce Lee moves.
Is this Bruce Lee? No, that was Karate Kid. So, so I'm not being like water. I'm being like a rock, right? But anyway, Bruce Lee, be like water. So be like water.
In all seriousness, we are through a COVID lockdown here in Sydney. Melbourne's just gone through it. Borders are shut up to Queensland. So we've had to be flexible.
100%. You don't know what's going on, right? And you've got to be flexible. And this is where people get caught up because a lot of people are looking for certainty and that absolute certainty in their life. And things just aren't certain. Like last week, when you and I were talking, there might have been a few more cases, but we didn't anticipate that a week later that there would be a full-blown lockdown in the sort of, Sydney and the greater Sydney region, up to the Central Coast and down to, I think, Wollongong. So that's happened in a week, right? And then who knows what's happens here because this new variant, it looks to be, moving at a reasonable pace. So not sure. We've got to be flexible, got to be adaptable. And that's the key here. Yes, we want the certainty. I understand that, but it's not going to happen, particularly in the environment we're in. So you've got to be able to be agile, uncertain, and just go with different things. But again, it's the resourcefulness of still pursuing what it is that you want to pursue.
Tony, how flexible do you think people are?
I don't think they're flexible at all because they're wanting certainty. I think generally speaking, they're not flexible. They want to have the certainty of something, and if something comes up that they hadn't planned for, then the sky caves in. So, and I'm speaking generally, and so that's the case where you have to be open to things coming up out of your periphery that you just didn't anticipate, right? But it's how you deal with those things. That's the key here, Luke. It's not whether or not it's something bad, something challenging going to happen. It's going to happen. It always happens. It will continue to happen. That's life. But it's about when it happens, how you're going to deal with it, how you're going to cope with it, how you're going to cope with something that's different, something that's thrown you, something that you hadn't anticipated and it was, it's thrown you. What are you going to do? A lot of people at the moment, I'm sure, in Sydney will be incredibly worried about what's going on. Panic buying's back, according to the news anyway, and here we go again. So, but there'll be, like there was last year, for all the people that were fearful and upset, there'll be plenty of people who go, you know what, it is what it is. We're not happy about it. but how do we make the best of the situation? And those people get on, and they'll be able.
Some people thrive in these situations as well, Tony. When
100%.
Yeah, you know what? In terms of flexibility and things like that, it reminds me of sports stars. It reminds me of true leaders that are able to flex and adapt in these situations where there is a crisis, where there are backs to the walls, and those people that truly stand up, you're in awe of their capability to do things and be flexible when others, sink into their shells and don't do anything.
Yeah, we'll see it tonight, right? So there's a game of footy on tonight, and we'll see it. Both teams have come in with their plans, but all it takes is someone to get a head knock or an injury early on, and then they've got to shuffle things around, and all of a sudden you lose someone in a pivotal position. And whilst all positions are pivotal, but there are some that are more key than others, are playmaking style roles, and you have an injury in one of those roles, and you've got to, you haven't got time to sit there and dwell. And so I'll guarantee you that both sides will have thought about contingency upon contingency upon contingency. That is, if this person goes down, here's what we're going to do: move this person to here, bring this person on, blah blah blah, whatever it is. And they would have trained for it as well. They train for these sorts of things. They train to be have 12 men on the field defending. They put themselves through as many of those likely game scenarios so that it's not foreign to them when they're on the field to play.
Sean and Kelly, good to have you on as well. Love to hear from the viewers that are out there today, taking on and thinking about flexibility, or when was some time that you were flexible in your life, and how that corresponded to the learning and growing that you're seeing in yourself now. So that's a big one for all of us. Getting into the first item, Tony, is, are you forced into flexibility? We touched on this already, but in, I guess, many areas of our lives, when the backs are against the wall, I've talking previously about when I've come up against it myself personally, in terms of the workplace, where my boss told me I didn't really have what it took to be a strata manager. So I had my backs up against the wall. I started to fight against that and push against those thoughts, because for me, they didn't really result in what was the actions that I was taking at work. So in having that, I was able to turn things around from something that was just untrue. So having that pushed against you is one big thing that you can come up against. And we are often in these situations in our lives at various points. So what are we going to do? Are we going to be flexible around that? Are we going to look for our opportunities and the possibilities that are out there? Or are we going to dwell and just focus on the negative things that are coming towards us, those judgments or opinions?
Yeah, absolutely. And those types of situations, Luke, will happen to all of us in different forms. We touched on the football field, but it happens in life. People get sick, things that you hadn't planned for. This COVID piece that's going on, people hadn't planned for that, and we could go on. There's an enormous number of things that happen that are unplanned, that are uncertain. The key is not that it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't know what will happen, but something's going to happen. The key is not that. The key is, what are you going to do next? How are you going to handle that situation? Like you said, are you going to, get upset and dwell the fact that this thing happened? Are you going to do nothing, or are you going to do something about it? And that's at the very high level. I mean, obviously, if you dig beneath that, then there's an enormous number of things that you can do. But at the high level, a lot of people tend to dwell and focus on the missed opportunity. And there will be people this week in Sydney who'll be focusing on the fact that we're in lockdown, and oh my gosh, what does this mean? And the sky's caving in, blah, blah, blah. But there'll be, like we said, a number of people, a smaller proportion of people who will focus on, well, this is shit. Let's not BS ourselves. And what can we do about it? And what are we going to do next? And how are we going to deal with this? And okay, yes, it might have thrown my plans in disarray, but I need to adapt. I need to be flexible. Hey, here's the thing. Like, there's so many, you think back last year, right? Now, all of a sudden, having Zoom meetings I was having a chat with someone about this week. Zoom meetings is now commonplace. Prior to that, there was a real, generally speaking, focus of the bosses wanting you to work in the workplace because there was a lack of trust, right? I don't trust you when you're at home, so I want to see you, physically see you. Now what we've had to do is we've had to create this Zoom meetings or video conferencing.
And what are companies found?
That people are more productive in a lot of cases, because I don't have to be in my daily and evening commute, and it's all about
cigarette
the output.
breaks, coffee breaks, chats
Exactly.
at the water coolers.
There's a technical term called presenteeism, right? And presenteeism, and this is a HR term, presenteeism is essentially when someone's physically at work, but they're not doing the work that they should be. They're just there. They've just shown up. They've had a big night on the sauce, or
George
they're wanting
Costanza. I used to use his little ways around the office, like hold a piece of paper and walk around the office. You look like you're going somewhere with it.
Did you ever sleep under the desk?
I used to use that technique. It's so funny because I was like, just looked like I was busy. I carried a piece of paper. I carried a piece of paper. This was in my early years. I was very unproductive. I was in a state where I was not motivated at all in what I was doing. And I actually got away with a lot in the workplace at that time. But it actually not only did it, it did allow me flexibility, Tony, because no one was really watching what I was doing. At the same time, I was in a situation where I lost motivation as well. So you do need to be wary of this. Like if you're at home during COVID, and the tasks are not there and you're not in a position to look, for what a show initiative or look for other tasks to do or create more of what you're doing, then you can get in a state of laziness, unmotivated, not undriven in your progression, in your learning and your growing. So this is where we've got to be careful of that. If we do have the flexibility in our lives, that we're still being productive with that flexibility as well, because we often just do the work that we're meant to do. And like I say, that we're forced to do and not the other things that are for the bigger picture, the greater good for us. And that's where that can be difficult.
Look, it can be. I know plenty of people who leverage the work at home opportunity to get in and do their work for their paid job quickly, free up the time to then do their side hustle. So, there's plenty of ways that you could look at it, providing they did what they needed to do for their day job. Then, I know a number of people who, leverage that time to do the side hustle.
Down that travel time and all those other things.
Exactly. So,
Sean says, look, our example would be where we're committed to achieving certain things each week, but we're flexible in planning and letting it all fit together. And almost every week, it all gets done. So ticking a lot of boxes, which is great.
Yeah. Well, don't focus on the how. Don't focus on the how do I get there. Focus on milestones, focus on goals. A lot of the how, you actually discover that early on through resourcefulness, figuring out what are the steps that I need to take. But there's a lot of people, however, who want absolute certainty. And this is why people don't move forward in buying properties. This is why people have fear, Luke, because they lack certainty, they lack the belief. And because of that, they choose not to put their left foot in front of their right. So, but whereas you know what I do? Flexible.
I go jump.
You put both feet in front. Yeah, absolutely. But that's, which is terrific, right? And obviously you've done this many, 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 many times, but it's also being, recognizing that not everybody is prepared to do that. And so how do we get them to move forward? What are the opportunities we can do to help people, move forward in their journey? Because I remember the first time that I bought a development site and I was incredibly fearful. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I wasn't. I was incredibly fearful. I remember the pen, signing the contract, the pen was shaking. I could barely hold the damn thing.
Maybe like you are right now in the cold, Tony.
No, I was shaking even more. No, I'm shaking now, but I was shaking even more. But look, so I was incredibly fearful. So I get it, right? But then it's also about why did I do the thing that I had to do? Well, I did it because my goal was too big for me. That's why I did it. Like, put it simplistically, that thing down the road meant so much to me, and I knew that I had to do this thing in front of me, otherwise I'd never get to that. And so that's the piece. It's like someone who wants to get involved in property investing or developing or renovating. It doesn't really matter. You got to have something big down the road that is going to be a focal point for you and that you want to work towards it. There's got a million things you need to do in between, but you've got to have something that's a driving force in front of you.